We're here to talk about the draft. The draft's in 2 weeks. Let's set some ground rules for today. Today, we're going to go through the draft picks, and the way that we're going to do it is we're going to throw it out. Our 3 panelists are experts on the NFL. We'll make a pick. They will be the acting GM. No trades, just straight up picking guys out of college football, who you think they need based off all the information and data that we've collected here, and you guys will make a selection. We'll throw it to a second panelist. That panelist can either agree with you or tell you why you're wrong. And if we get dissension between our 2 panelists, we'll throw it to the third one to make a definitive selection on the pick for that team. As we always say, make sure you drop a nickel on the subscribe button. Any of you watching this live, ask questions, give feedback, tell us where our panelists got it wrong. And then, of course, we will reconcile our picks against the actual draft when it happens in 3 weeks and see how right or wrong our teams were. It is an interesting board because there are some players that we're not sure if they're going to end up in picks 1, 2, or 3 or fall out of the first round. But Mike, let's go ahead and jump into it. The Tennessee Titans, they finished 3-14. I think for much of the latter part of the season, everybody thought that Carolina was the worst team in football. Turns out it was the Tennessee Titans. They are fresh off of drafting Will Levis here, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. That experiment has gone bad like mayonnaise in the sun. And so here they are with the first pick in the draft, getting ready to make another selection. The consensus pick seems to be Cam Ward at quarterback. But Mike, who are the Tennessee Titans picking with the number 1 pick overall?
Right. It wouldn't be a good show if I just went with the consensus and said they're going with Cam Ward. I don't know if it's me. Hopefully there's other people that agree. He's not the best player. He's not the best generational talent in this draft. And I just don't see him as the number 1 pick. If we were trading, I would be trading back to the Giants and taking their 3rd pick and getting a bunch of stuff from the Giants. But we're not doing that. So let me give you some information. So Cam Ward, he only played 1 top 25 team, and that was Syracuse. And they lost to Syracuse. So there you go. And ACC, what? They're like the 3rd ranked conference, Jake. All the teams that they play, yeah, he lit it up. He had put up great numbers. But again, I'm not looking at I look at those teams. If you're not a top 25 team, I'm not, holding much weight to that. He's got small hands. And you know what they say about small hands, everyone? Yeah, don't get your head out of the gutter, Tony. We're talking about fumbles, fumbleitis. And yes, he struggled with fumbles last year, not last year, 2 years ago. He kind of cleaned it up last year. But when it's in January and it's cold, look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar hates the cold and makes mistakes in critical situations. And when that ball's cold, those small hands are going to come into play. This is funny. I'm just going to throw this out there because this was Shady McCoy saying he had a problem with King number 1 because he was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. I'm like, come on, Shady. But he really was. He was making a point like, I have a problem with a 0-star recruit. But hey, there's a lot of young kids out there that don't get recognized in high school, and they make themselves recognized in college. So I'm not going to put a whole lot of weight there. So for me, the guy that's the generational talent that you should be taking is Abdul Carter. They just lost Landry. They just lost Landry this year. He moves on in free agency. They have a very good defensive line. I take Abdul Carter all day here. I also think that the O-line for the Titans, they need some work. If you do draft Cam Ward, it's not likelihood that he succeeds. I think he gets his butt whooped with that O-line that's in front of him, and could hurt his confidence and other things. So again, Abdul Carter from me. Take it, and you have a stout defensive line. Stout. And that makes everyone behind you even that much better. And I say, Will Levis or, draft somebody like, what do I got? I got some names up here for you to take. Jackson Dart. He's kind of considered the 3rd best quarterback in this class. You got Jalen Milroe from Bama or Will Howard. Get somebody else later. And I'm not saying it's okay for them to get beat up behind that offensive line, but I'm just saying, take the best player available, Abdul Carter.
Wow. So right off the shoot, Mike throws a curveball. He makes his feelings known about cold balls and small hands, Keith. And so here we are Abdul Carter, the selection, obviously the consensus best edge player in the draft. I had the privilege of watching him play against my Boise State Broncos in the Fiesta Bowl. The kid is an absolute beast. And again, probably a generational talent. I will say this, in a draft class that is starved of quarterback talent, but very deep in edge, it's one of those positions where it's like, man, you're getting the best guy off the board in a position, but it is also the deepest position in this draft, arguably. But Mike throws everything to the wind, and here we are. Cam Ward, not the selection. Keith, do you agree with Mike? Do we take Abdul Carter with the first pick, or do we bring some sanity back to this show and take our man that everybody thinks they should be taking in Cam Ward from the University of Miami?
Yeah, I do have to disagree with Mike on this one. I love Abdul Carter. I love Travis Hunter. These guys are generational type talents, I think. But when you're a team drafting first overall, you need a quarterback. There's a quarterback who is worthy of going number one overall. I believe Cam Ward is that guy. You draft Cam Ward. You know, guy threw for 4,300 yards, 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year, 88.7 QBR. Mike mentioned the loss to Syracuse. He was 25 of 36, 349 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They lost that game 42-38. That game, that loss is not on Cam Ward. So I'm just tossing that out there right now. Like that's not on Cam Ward. That is on their defense, which was a sieve all year long. You know, when he was winning games, they were giving up 31 points. Don't overthink it. I love Abdul Carter, but you can't replace the quarterback production. It's the most important position probably in all of football. So I would go with Cam Ward here.
All right, Jake. Keith disagrees with Mike. So off the shoot, you know, we thought we'd be 5 minutes in the show and through 5 picks. Guess what? We're 13 minutes in and we're arguing about the first pick in the draft. So we should finish it sometime around 3 a.m. But you've got Abdul Carter from Mike. You've got Cam Ward from Keith. Jake, tell us who will be the selection number one in the draft come draft. What is it? Thursday, right? I think the draft starts on Thursday this year.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Thursday. April 24th. Yes.
April 24th. Who will
right.
the Tennessee Titans be selecting with the first overall pick?
Well, as much as I love Mike's reasoning, and while I do think Abdul Carter could be like a throwback Titan and Javon Kearse, the freak, if you guys remember, absolute freak of nature. I mean, so damn good with the Titans, had a hell of a career. I think it'd be a great pick, Mike, but I do think because there is a quarterback that is the basically consensus number one overall pick, it's going to be Cam Ward. And I'll tell you this, the Titans have not landed on a first-round selection at the quarterback position in the first round, really since Steve McNair. No disrespect to Marcus Mariota. I know he took him to playoffs and everything, kind of banked on that defense, that run game coaching. He was okay. He was a good, serviceable guy, right? But you look at the history, and it's tough, man. I mean, Marcus Mariota at 2 overall. Then before that, it was Jake Locker. Before that, it was Vince Young. Before that, Steve Air McNair. And Air McNair was a great one, man. I mean, not necessarily a Hall of Famer, but very, very good. Yeah. And very interesting stat, because I like to bring some sabermetric stats to the show. Steve Air McNair, 6'2", 220. Cam Ward, 6'2", 219. So is this the second coming of Air McNair? We'll see. But I'll tell you this, I like Cam Ward a lot because while he is more of a timing passer, he is just as much of an improviser as well. So his offensive line didn't necessarily play the greatest. You see a lot of times where he's bailing out of the pocket and he's making things happen on his own. And like I said, very good with timing routes and stuff like that, but also very good at improvising. So to me, I feel like it would be a shoo-in. It just makes a lot of sense here. And I love your reasoning for Abdul Carter, Mike, but I'm going to disagree. I'm going Cam Ward at number one for the Titans.
Beautifully done, folks. So Cam Ward off the board with the Tennessee Titans. Our expert panelists have agreed with the consensus pick. And so we find ourselves with pick 2. Jake, we're going to continue on with you here with the Cleveland Browns. A ton of issues, a team that has made some terrible front office decisions here over the last 4 or 5 years, kind of reeling. They were able to keep Myles Garrett on the squad, but again, they need a lot. They need a QB as well. They have holes on the offensive line. They need an edge. They need a running back. I mean, again, you could kind of pick your poison here, but what do the Cleveland Browns do with the second pick, knowing that Cam Ward's off the board and some dissension about who's the next best guy on the board from a quarterback's perspective? Do they go quarterback? Do they go somewhere else? Where does Cleveland land here with the second pick overall?
Yeah, I want to go Abdul Carter here as well, and I think the logic makes a lot of sense. I mean, you got Myles Garrett and then Isaiah McGuire as your other defensive end, so it makes a lot of sense to go Abdul Carter. I know he's like the consensus pick, but I'm going to go a different direction. I've been hearing a lot of rumors that Travis Hunter is going to be at number 2 there, and he's going to be taken by the Cleveland Browns. So, and it makes sense. So, I mean, you look at who they have as the cornerback unit kind of evolves there in Cleveland. They have Denzel Ward, who's locked up, who's great. And I like Martin Emerson a lot. I like Greg Newsome. But to me, Hunter fits more as a corner in the NFL and a guy that's going to play receiver, 10 to 15 snaps a game. So you could sprinkle him in there too. So he could also, he could act as your number 2 if you want him to be. I mean, you got him and Jerry Jeudy, or he'll probably be your number 1 there. And I like Jerry Jeudy. He had a great year. But to me, he fills 2 needs, receiver and corner there. And, it does make a lot of sense when you dive deep into it. So seeing all these rumors saying, hey, Travis Hunter to the Browns, it's starting to make a little more sense to me. And I think the Browns want to make a splash move, whereas, they could take Abdul Carter, who I think is the safer, I guess maybe not safer pick, but the less sexy pick in this situation. But Travis Hunter, to me, it makes sense. It fills 2 voids for them. And I think it's a great move. He could be wide receiver 1 and cornerback 1. So why not take him at 2? Don't go quarterback. Shedeur Sanders does not want to play in Cleveland.
I love the pick. I mean, he's basically Charles Woodson 2.0. There was no question he was the best cornerback in football. And again, at Colorado, they were a depleted offense, and so they needed to have their best player, who was Travis Hunter, on the field as much as possible. So it makes sense that he wins the Heisman Trophy over my boy, Austin Jeanty, who I thought, again, other than Hunter, there was no question that Jeanty should have won the Heisman this year. But Mike, Jake shit all over your pick of Abdul Carter. We're here. Abdul Carter's still on the board. You won the draft in 1, and here we are with 2. Cleveland, Abdul Carter's aboard. Jake says, no, we got to go with Hunter because he fills potentially 2 open slots for us as the Cleveland Browns. Do you stick with Carter and with Jake, or do you go with your boy Abdul Carter?
Well, I'm steaming that Jake didn't give me any support whatsoever. The greatest quarterback out of University of Miami was Jim Kelly. You had your Bernie Kosar, but Jim Kelly, and I just don't see another guy like Jim. But let's go to this one. I'm kind of torn here. They need to get some protection for Kenny Pickett, whoever is at that helm. My brain says take Armand Membu, tackle, and call it a day. But how do you pass up a talent like Travis Hunter? So, Jake, I'm going to say this first. I'm going to say Abdul Carter would be a great pairing with Myles Garrett. Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine those 2 playing together? But, Jake, I'm in agreement with you. You can't pass up a generational talent like Travis Hunter. Cornerback, wide receiver, wherever you want to use him, this dude is good. I'm in agreement with you, Jake. See how I supported you, buddy?
I like that, Mike. And listen, no disrespect. I love you.
Well, hey, we have our first agreement. That's fantastic. Travis Hunter goes off the board. This leaves potentially the Giants reeling because I think they were hoping Hunter would fall to them with 3. There's been rumors about Shedeur Sanders potentially going in this pick. There's been rumors about Sanders dropping all the way out of the first round. Keith, we're going to put you in the spotlight. The Giants have the pick. Travis Hunter's off the board. Abdul Carter, who we thought might go number 1. We had some ballyhoo from Mike about him going to Tennessee with the number 1 pick overall. He's there. You've got Sanders. Kind of the world is your oyster. The board has fallen in kind of a weird spot. So, Keith, you're the GM for the Giants. Where do we go here?
Well, if I'm the GM. Look, I don't like Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to say that right out. I don't like Shedeur Sanders. There are things that you can do as a quarterback, as the face of your team. The one thing you cannot do is call out your offensive line, which is exactly what Shedeur Sanders did last year with Colorado. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. It speaks to an underlying entitlement issue, an underlying maturity issue with Shedeur Sanders that would scare me away as an NFL GM. So who am I going to take? I'm going for Abdul Carter here. I love Abdul Carter. I think he's a generational type of pass rusher. I probably would have drafted him to the Browns, but if he's still available for the Giants, I'm running to the podium. Pair him with Kayvon Thibodeau and reap the rewards for years to come. So Abdul Carter is my pick for the New York Giants.
I love the pick. I mean, we were making arguments, Jake, about him potentially being the number 1 pick overall. Mike was foaming out the mouth to send him to Tennessee. Here we are. He falls to the Giants with the 3rd pick overall. Keith runs to the podium and says, sign us up. We're going back to that year when we went to the Super Bowl and had the best defensive line in football. Nobody gave us a chance to the Patriots. And guess what? Because our defensive line was so good, we're going to rebuild that again. We're doing it 2.0. They draft Abdul Carter with the 3rd pick overall. Jake, do you agree? Do they take Carter or do they pivot? And do you see somebody like Sanders or maybe a wide receiver, an offensive lineman in this spot?
So the Shedeur Sanders pick made more sense when they just had Jameis Winston at quarterback, but they now have Russell Wilson and Tommy Cutlets. Don't forget about him, Tommy DeVito. Okay, so you got 3 quarterbacks, and you're just going to crowd that room even more with a rookie, and I feel like that's just going to be a hostile type of situation. So already, I actually do like Shedeur. I think he will be okay in the NFL. I don't think the Giants are the right fit for him. So I'm going to avoid that altogether. I love what Keith said about pairing Abdul Carter with Kayvon Thibodeau. And by the way, not just Kayvon Thibodeau, Keith, Brian Burns too.
Yes,
so
sir.
You got 2 stud edge guys. And when the Giants won the Super Bowl, they had 3 absolute studs rushing the passer in Michael Strahan, Osi Umenyiora, and Justin Tuck. Yep. So it makes a lot of sense here. I mean, you could do a little rotational thing. It's going to be interesting to see how that kind of works out because all of them are relatively young. But yeah, I mean, the Abdul Carter pick makes a lot of sense. My other thought would be maybe Mason Graham to pair on that D-line. You put him next to Dexter Lawrence, which really, talk about impacting an offensive line. I mean, you got Mason Graham, you got Dexter Lawrence. They also have Nunez Roches, who's a pretty good player too. And then you got the 2 edge guys. So I think Mason Graham would be my second pick here, but I'm going to go with you. I think you go best available, pair that edge guy. And by the way, who did the Giants beat in both of those Super Bowls? The New England Patriots. So let's do it. Let's take Abdul Carter at 3.